friends, I am Nivek. So in this video, we are going to do attendance calculation process using data table method in RA framework. And this is actually a challenge which was posted by Sharath Raju for helping RPA beginners to learn more about RPA, etc. So I first thank him for posting this challenge. So let's go into the description of this challenge. So what we have to do here. So actually we have an employee data here of their attendance details for each employee E01, E002, E003, E004, E005. There are 5 employees, and for each employees uh, corresponding they have worked for 11 days. For each 11 days their apps attendance details are there. You can see here P represent actually for present, A represent for absent, and there are null values which have no details about that particular day for the particular employees. And what is our automation challenge is we have to take each attendance data of each employees. We have to calculate how many days he was present, how many days he was absent, and how many days there was no information about it. And after that, we have to input into this second data sheet within the same Excel file, that is for corresponding to each employee. That is how many total days he was present, total days he was absent, and total working days, percentage, feedback, and null value columns. And regarding the calculation of percentage and feedback, there is an equation for this separately. You can see here the percentage should be is equal to percentage into 100 divided by total working days. And for providing feedback, there are three conditions. First is if percentage is less than 70, you should provide the feedback as average. But if the percentage is between 70 and 85, including the limit value, means including 70 and 85, you can provide feedback as good. If percentage is greater than 85, you have to provide feedback as excellent. Okay, so this is a calculation part that you have to remember. So let's start by building the workflow. Okay, so just go to create a RA framework workflow. Save it in, let's say, tutorial section. You can save it anywhere you like. Okay, select the folder and give it as, let's say, challenge 2. Okay, so save it. Now it's creating the workspace. Yeah, now open the workflow. Okay, so at first try to transfer this Excel file to the workflows folder also, so that we can be easily accessed. Okay, then we can save it here itself. Yeah, what did you see? So yeah, I've opened this RA framework. So next step, what we have to do in first step, what we have to do is we have to check what is the we have to know what is actually here actually is what nature actually has transaction item. That is, what is the variable type of the transaction item. Okay, so we know that if you take that Excel file. Okay, since we are using a data table method here, we are not using queues. So we have to identify first what is our transaction item or what is the variable type of the transaction item. Since what is our main agenda here, we have to take each employee's details. We have to calculate the number of present, number of total number of absent, or total number of null days. We have to input into this corresponding data table. So we can consider each data row as transaction item, because each data row contains data of each employees. That is, the employee name is E01, E002, E003, etc. So here we can consider each the transaction item as data row itself, like this. Okay. So we have to change the transaction item variable type to data row. So just go to data row, and save it, click it here. Okay, now save it. Now you can see validation error are being thrown in the get transaction data and process transaction. You have to clear all it. Okay, just do here and transaction item, nothing. Also there is a validation error being here, the get transaction data. So here you have to change the variable type of QI, variable type of transaction item to QI to the data row. Okay, now here also a validation error is thrown. Yeah, you know that since our transaction item is not a queue item, we don't need to have get transaction item activity. We can just disable it here. Okay, we can disable it. Just save the workflow. Now change it to transaction item. Okay, now I think there's still a validation is there. Yeah, here is a validation error. So transaction item is nothing. Okay, now the validation error has been completely been removed in the get transaction data state. Okay, now the validation error is be at process transaction. We have to clear that. Process transaction, what is the validation error? Yeah, due to the change in the variable type of the in transaction item, or sorry, transaction item, because in transaction item is a queue item, so we can't transfer the variables here. That's why validation error is wrong. So we can correct change it to data row. Let's say data row, and then save it, and then open it again and just save it as transaction item. Save it. Now again go back, and there's also validation error thrown here. Same reason, due to the variable change in variable scope of transaction item. So we have to correct it here. Open the workflow, change the argument to like in data row. Now you can see the validation error being are thrown here. Change this also. Now we know that this is done, or this is used when transaction item is a queue item. So here it is not a queue item. We can disable it. Okay, you can disable it, and then go to business exception. Same thing you have to do. Okay, okay. Now you can save it. Save this also. Now after that, try to go back and do the same thing for system exception also. Disable this, because these are required when our transaction item is actually a queue item. Since we know that our transaction item is not a queue item, we have to either delete it or disable it. But I prefer disabling here. Okay, so save it, and I think all validation error has been removed successfully. Yeah. Uh, mm, is another validation error? Nothing. No validation error reason. I think all validation error has been removed in the get transaction data and process transaction. So next step is we have to start to do the workflow. So first we can start with initialization state. But let's think, because here what we are doing, actually we are actually taking the data from one Excel value and transferring to another Excel value. It means we are actually calculating the attendance details of each employee, and then we are inputting into this second data sheet, that is data 2. That is what we are doing. It is a kind of Excel automation. It is an Excel automation. So in Excel automation, actually, there is no request for any application to be open or any web browser to be open, etc. So we can completely avoid this state, initialization state. It is not. We don't have to add any activity. We don't have to open any application except Excel, because Excel is mostly being done. There's a lot of Excel activity here, so there is no need for opening. Like there is no need for adding the any activities in the initialization state. Okay, so that can be avoided. Next is we have to go to get transaction data. So in get transaction data, what we are actually been doing, we are actually retrieving the transaction item. We know that here, that is, we know that here our transaction item is each data row in the data one sheet. So we have to assign the transaction item here in the get transaction data state. For that, just open it. Go to open the workflow. Here we have to create two sequences. First, we have to read this attendance detail in overall. Then we have to store it in data table. From the data table, we have to assign the transaction item. That is the second sequence. So we can create it. So activities. First, create one sequence which actually read the attendance details. So for that, we have to provide a condition. What would be the condition? If. We have to provide a if condition. What would be the condition? Means when we know that this is first transaction, this is second transaction, third transaction, fourth transaction, fifth transaction. We can provide a condition like this to read the whole data. That is, if transaction number is 1, means if it is a first transaction, we can read all the data and store it in a data table. Okay, so in this way we can read the all the Excel file. Okay, for that you have to provide the condition in transaction number dot to string dot equals, let's say, 1. Okay, before that you have to specify, you have to specify the Excel path. You can specify the file path in the config file itself. It's a good activity. It's a good practice to do, specify the Excel file path in the config file. Okay. Yeah, so you can specify the Excel file path in the config file. Excel file, you can give a name for the Excel file. What is the Excel file name? Employee. Since we know that our we know that within our workflow folder itself, your Excel file is being there. So just provide the name along with its extension. So employee dot employee dot xlx. Please check whether it is correct or not. Employee dot x, yes, it's correct. Okay, so now save it. Now in the constant section, we have to specify the maximum retry number. Since we know that our transaction item is not a queue item, we have to specify the maximum retry number greater than 0. Because maximum retry number retries the transaction again and again in the case of system exception. So we have to specify it as greater than 0 in case when the transaction item is not a queue item. Normally I specify it as 2. You can specify as you choice. Okay, so I save it. Now what we have to do, we have to use read range activity for reading the Excel file. Use read range. So you can use workbook read range activity. Okay, so read range. So what is the condition? Read attendance data overall. So you can specify the path in config So we can specify the yeah, what is the key name, that is Excel file. So just specify it as here Excel file. Since we know that output of this dictionary or value of the dictionary is an object, we have to convert to string. I have to specify the sheet name. The sheet name is data 1. I have to read the whole data. So you can specify it as simply data. Please check data 1 is sheet name in config Excel file. Okay. So what we have done here is in the when it is a first transaction, we are reading the attendance data. That is, we have done here in the read attendance detail sequence. So in next sequence, what we have to do, in the next sequence we have to assign transaction item. In the next sequence we have to assign the transaction item. For that we also have to provide another if condition. That is, you have to provide another if condition. What is the if condition? We know that it is the first transaction, it is the second transaction, it is the third transaction, it is the fourth transaction, it is the fifth transaction. But when it comes to sixth transaction, we know that there is no transaction data to be for processing. So we can specify the condition in this way. Now, in transaction number is less than or equal to. Sorry, before that we have to store this read range, whatever data in the Excel file, in the data table. So we have to specify it here. Sorry, input output transaction data. Okay, we will specify that here. I forgot that. Let's specify input output transaction data dot rows dot count. What does it indicate? Means when the transaction number is less than the row count of the or the rows count of the transaction data table, we can assign the transaction item. Means if for up to transaction number 5, 1 2 3 4 5, we can assign transaction item. But when transaction number is greater than the data table rows count, you can't assign the transaction item because transaction item is nothing there. So it is not possible to assign it. So we can use an assign condition. That is by saying assign transaction item. We can specify the transaction item as out transaction item as, let's say, input output transaction data dot row. We can just elaborate it here. So for better viewing, dot rows dot in transaction number -1. In transaction number -1. It actually, what does it do? It will actually assign the transaction item as each data row. That is what we have done in this assign section. But if this condition is not satisfied, means if the transaction number is greater than the row count of the transaction data, you can assign the transaction item as nothing because there is no transaction item, like there is no data there for processing. So that we can specify it as nothing, which actually mark the end of the process. Because if the transaction item is nothing, from the get transaction data state, you will directly go to close all application where the process is terminated. Okay, so you can specify it as assign nothing. Okay, so we have completed the get transaction data section. So in get transaction data section, what we have done, first we have read the attendance details. That is, we have read the whole data table, whole Excel file of data one sheet, and we have transferred these values into a data table, that is input output transaction data. And after this, we are in the second sequence, we are assigning the transaction item, okay, based on condition. So this is what we have done in the get transaction data state. Next step, what we have to do, like we have got the transaction item, that is each data row is considered as a transaction item. So next step is what, for each transaction item means, for here each transaction item represent each employee details or each employee's attendance details. So for each transaction item you have to calculate the number of present days, number of absent days, number of null values, and after calculating the present, absent, null values and also the percentage by using this equation, you have to input all the values here, all the feedback to, based on the percentage condition. So this is what we have to do, and this is mostly done in what, where, in the process transaction. So let's open it. Yeah, so here for that we can create two sequences here. The first sequence, what we are doing, in the first sequence we are taking each employee's details, that is each transaction item, and then we are actually like calculating the number of present days, number of absent days, and number of null values for each employees. Okay, that is each employees represent each transaction item. Okay, and then store it in a particular variable. And in the second sequence, what we are doing, we are taking these values, present, absent, and null values, we are calculating feedback there, sorry, feedback not, we are calculating percentage, and based on percentage we are calculating feedback, etc., for each employees. Okay, so that is what we are doing here. Okay, so in the so in general how it is being done is, that is, consider first transaction means this is the first transaction. We are taking the how many present days, absent days, and null value for employee E001. After that we are going to data 2, we are inputting these details of total present, total absent, total working days, percentage, feedback, null value columns corresponding to that employee name, that is here we are taking E01. Okay, so that is what we are going to do in the process transaction. So let's start to do it. First, create first sequence which actually calculate attendance details of each employee. Each employee here represents, each employee attendance detail represents each transaction item. Okay, so for that we have to specify three variables, like to store the value of total present, which is actually integer type, and to store the value of total absent for absent days for each employee, that is in the terms of numbers. Then in the null value you have to store in the form of integers. Okay, and we can initialize them, because while starting this process workflow we have to initialize them at 0. We can initialize them as 0 itself. Multiple assign, you can use multiple assign, so that we can assign present equal to 0, then add absent equal to 0, and null value is equal to 0. Okay, you are assign initial values. Okay, just assign initial values here. So next is what we have to do is, because in process transaction what we are taking each transaction item, means each employee's attendance details, and we are calculating how many present, absent days are there. So we have to know what is a column numbers, so that we can take each cell values and of each employee's details. For example, if you consider employee E001, if it is a transaction item, like what is our main agenda here, we have to take the we have to know how many present days are there, how many absent days are there, how many null values are there. For that you have to know each like each state of day 1, day 2, day 3, etc. That is each cell values. For that you have to like assign, you have to know how many number of columns are there. For that you can use an assign activity. You will understand when you, I will explain in how later. So create a count variable. Okay, count variable of integer type, which actually can store the number of columns corresponding to each transaction item, because if you take this transaction item, the number of column is, let's say, 12. Second transaction item, it is also 12. So in general, how you can retrieve the transaction item from the how can retrieve the column numbers from the transaction items is just by simple code itself. So you can specify the variable type as integer 32, and for that you can use a particular code. You can just enter the variable expression here as in transaction item dot item array dot count. Okay, it actually gives a number of columns. That is, here we know that the total number of columns is 12 for each transaction item. Okay, but we know that for our calculation, because what we want to calculate here, we want to calculate how many present days, how many absent days, etc. We know that it starts from 1, because column index starts from 0, 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, like that. We know that our calculation starts from 1 itself. So we don't need to start from 0. For avoiding that, what we can do here is that we can reduce it, count value. Because count value, when you use this, it will come out as 12 here. But we can reduce to 11 for our calculation purpose. That you will later understand when you complete the work. Okay, count minus 1, so that you can reduce the so you can start from the column first to 11. Okay, so assign number of, let's say, columns. Okay, reduce the value by 1. So next step is what, we have to iterate through all these values, because this is a data row, and the next step is we have to iterate through all these cell values of this corresponding data row, and we have to calculate how many present, how many absent, and how many null values are there. For that we can use for each activity. So use for each activity here, for each activity here. Okay, so just change the argument type to integer. Now you have to specify the range. So it starts from enumerable. Use enumerable dot range. So your column, you know that you have to specify the, like a, you are specifying a range here, range of values. You know that our value starts, for our purpose we have to start from column number 1, then end at column number 11. Since we know that the count gives the total number of columns in initial case, that is as 12, output as 12 here in this case, but we are reducing it by 1, so it becomes 11. So we know that our like attendance details are for each employees are entered from column 1, it is continuing up to column 11. Okay, so like last column, that is column 11 here. So we have to specify the range like this, 1 comma count. Okay, we can specify the name itself. It's good practice. For each cell value in transaction item, what you can specify here. Now you have to go to switch condition, because we know that in the here in this section, that is in this sequence, in this calculate attendance details of each employee sequence, what we are doing, we are taking each transaction item and we are taking each cell values, day 1 corresponding to day 1, day 2, day 3, etc. We are calculating the present, absent, etc. and then storing it in the particular variable for present, absent, etc. That is here as present, absent, etc. So that for that attendance conditions are three: either present, either absent, or null value. So we can use here a switch activity for that. So just use switch activity, switch, specify switch activity, and enter the variable. Before that, try to change the variable type to string, because there is cell value output should be a string here. Okay, so what we are doing here is that we are outputting the each cell value, means corresponding to each transaction item, that is data row. For each data row we are actually iterating through all its cell values, that is first, second, third, like that, and we are checking in the switch condition, we are checking whether it is present, absent, or null value. If it is a present, we are incrementing the present variable by 1. If it is absent, we are incrementing the absent variable by 1. If it is a null, we are incrementing null value by 1. That is what we are doing. So for that you have to provide the condition like this: in transaction item of item dot to string. It actually represents each cell value of corresponding data. So now you have to provide the case. First case is when it is present, when the case value, when this value is equal to present, you have to provide the activity here when this value is, that is when this condition, that is in transaction bracket item dot to string is present. It represents when a cell value is present. What you have to do, you have to increment the present, number by 1, or present variable by 1. Present is equal to present plus 1. So you can specify here it as increment present by 1. Okay, so this is our first case. So in the second case, what we have to provide means, this is the first case when the case value is present. Next condition is when the case value is absent. Just think, when case value is absent, what do you have to provide? We have to provide, we have to increment the absent variable by 1. Absent plus 1. So what you have to do here, you have to do here is increment absent by 1. Okay, next, third case. What is the third case? Third case is we have deal with present case and absent, present case and absent case. Next is when there is neither present nor absent, that is a null value case. So you have to provide the case value, and we have to provide the case value as empty. So when the case value is empty, what is the condition you have to provide? You have to increment the null value equal to null value plus 1. That is, you have to specify it here as increment null value by 1. Okay, so in this section what we are doing here is that we are actually calculating how many present, absent, and null value for each employee details. That is for each transaction item or for each employee detail, what is the number of days he was present, what is the number of days he was absent, and what is the number of days he was neither present nor absent. That is, no information is available. That is what we are doing using this switch activity. I hope you understand this. Okay, so in this section what we have done here is we uh, we calculate the number of present, absent and null values. That is what we have done through this sequence in overall. So here also you can add another activity or add another variable. That is, we know that if you go to the second data table, you want to enter total present, total absent, total working days, percentage, feedback, null value column. We already calculated total present, total absent and null value. And the total working days is actually equal to the count variable itself, because we know that here if you go to the count variable actually initially when you are initializing it with the transaction item array dot count, it will give the number of columns, that is the total column of the particular data. But when you are, because in the next step we are actually reducing it, you can see here, because at first we are actually specifying it as count as number of columns, but in the second step we are reducing it by one. Means we know that for this particular data row or a particular transaction item, the total number of columns is 12, but when we are reducing it by 1, it represents count becomes 11. 11 is actually equal to what? Total working days. So you can give the total working days is equal to count itself. And percentage, so you have to calculate percentage here. Okay, so just go to calculating the percentage. For calculating percentage, you have to create another variable here. So try to make this all in one scope process so you can access it everywhere. Okay, create another percentage. Use, sorry, we can specify it as double, because percentage can't come in purely in integer format. It may come in decimal values also. So we can specify it as system dot double. Okay. Okay. Now you can give the equation for calculating percentage. Already we have discussed here, percentage is equal to present days into 100 divided by total working days. You have to specify it. So just specify it here. Percentage is equal to just calculate sorry present into 100 percent into 100 divided by total working days. I told you it is equal to count itself. Okay, percent into 100 divided by count. Okay, so you can specify here assign, sorry, you can specify assign as assign percentage. Okay, so you have assigned the percentage. So next step is what we have to do. We have to we have to the next step is, but so in this step or in this sequence, whole sequence, what we have done, we have taken each transaction item, then we have calculate, that is transaction item represent the employees, each employee attendance details, and then we have calculated total present, total absent and total null value, and also the percentage. So next step is we have to input uh, these values into this data to sheet, that total present, total absent, total working days, percentage, feedback you can calculate the in the second sequence, and also null value columns. That is what we have to do in the second sequence. For that, just drag another sequence. So just drag another sequence here. You can use simply invoke activity here also for doing this. If there are multiple sub process within this process activity, you can use a invoke. Okay, invoke activity also here instead of doing like this. I will tell you later tutorials how to do like that. So you can provide transferring data to Excel file. So this is our workflow. So what we have to do? First we have to read this data. It is true now. So first we have to read this data to sheet and store it in the data table variable. Data table variable. So first we can do like this. We can use a or you can use Excel application scope for this. Use Excel application scope. Specify the file path in config. So that because lot of Excel activities are coming there, so that you can specify all in under one scope, that is using Excel application scope. Okay, use in config. What is the name for the file? Dictionary name. Just copy it from here. Okay. Excel file dot to string. So what we have to do here? First we have to read the data to sheet. That is the table where we have to input these values. So Excel read range. Just use read range. That is specify the sheet name. What is the sheet name? Sheet name is data2. Just check whether it is correct or not. Yeah, it is data2. Okay, so we have to read the Excel file. Now we have to store it in the this Excel file data in a data table. So we can specify it as, let's say, data2 itself. Okay. So next step is what? So we have to input the values. That is, if you take the first transaction, for first transaction means for employee E001, you calculate the number of present, number of absent, number of null values, etc. You calculate the percentage also. So next step is you want to input all these values corresponding to the employee name E001 in this data to sheet. So here you have to identify the row index of this corresponding employee. Means for this employee E001, what is row index is 0. For employee E002, row index is 1. For employee E003, row index is 2. So you have to identify this. For identifying this, so that we can input this data, the total percent, total absent, total working days, percentage, feedback, null value column using right cell activity directly. So for that, to know the row index of this particular employee name in this data to sheet, we can use lookup data table activity. So just look for the lookup data table activity. So you have to use. So here what we have to do here is we have to look the employee name in this data to data table and output the corresponding row index value. That is what we have to do. So we have to look up employee name in data to data table. Okay. So we have to provide some values here. So first we have to provide a data table on which we have to find the like employee name value. So here we know that the data table is this, because in this data table itself we want to find what is the row index of the employee name, etc. So just specify the name of the data table here. Name of the data table is data2. Now the lookup value, what value you want to look in this data2 table. We know that the value that we want to look in this data2 table is the employee name. So you have to specify, because we know that after calculating the present, absent, null values for each employee, now you have to input these values in data to data table, data to sheet. For that, under E001 employee name. So we have to find where this E0001 is located. In another word, you have to find the row index of E001. Okay, so you have to specify the lookup value. So lookup value is, you can directly, in general way, you can get it from the in transaction, sorry, in transaction item or transaction item. How? In transaction item, since we know that in the data one table, the name is specified in the 0th column index. You can specify the, that is 0 dot to string. So this actually gives the employee name. Now you have to specify which column you want to look in this data to sheet. You know that in data to sheet we want to look through name column. Okay, so we can specify that column name here. Either you can specify the column name here or you can specify the column index. We know that the column index is actually 0. This is 0, this is first column, this is second column, third column, fourth, etc. Column index numbering is like this. So this is 0th column index. You can specify the 0 column here. Column index as 0 here. Okay. Now, what is the output that we want from this lookup data table activity? We want to output the row index of the corresponding employee. So where we can input the values of total present, total absent, total null values, etc. For that you can specify the row index. Just specify the, just store it in a variable that is called row index. Okay, row index is actually a, you can see here, the integer data type. Okay, so we have specified all the data, whatever data we are require. So next is what we have to input this data, means since we have after using this lookup data table activity, we can be able to know what is the row index of this corresponding employee's name and so on. So next is we want to input the total present value, total absent, total working days, percentage, feedback and null value column for corresponding to each employee's name. For that, what we have to do is we have to use right cell activity. So use let's say cell, right cell activity in the Excel section. So you can see that you have to you don't need to specify the file path. The reason is that you are using this right cell activity under Excel. But if you are using right cell activity under workbook, you have to specify this path, Excel file path every time when you are entering. It will become much more difficulty. That is why we are defining an Excel application scope so that you can write this Excel based activity all in this single scope itself. So you can use right cell activity and then you can specify the sheet name. Sheet name is data2 and the cell. So you have to specify the cell value in a generalized way. So we know that if you take the first employee detail, that is E001, the total present value has to be entered in the cell value, cell B2. For E02, it has to be entered in B3. For E03, it has to be entered in B4. For E04, it has to be entered in B5. For E04, sorry, E05, we have to enter in this, the total present value has to be entered in B6. And we know that, so we can say in general, this column name B is constant. Only this row is changing. But we know that the row index, uh, what does this row index actually output? It actually outputs the row index of each employee that we are searching for. We know that for employee E001, row index is 0. For E002, row index is 1. For E003, row index is 2, like that. So you can see for B2, row index is 1. Row index is 0. So in general way you can specify the cell value for each transaction. For that, what you can do here is you can specify it, because we know that column name remains same, only row index is changing. So you can specify b plus, you can specify the cell where we want to input the total present value as like this, b plus row index plus 2. Why? Because we know that if you take the first transaction, that is first employee name is 001, the row index is 0, but we have to input in the cell b2. So we should add plus 2 with the row index, so as to we can input here. If you take E002, we have to input in the cell value b3. Since we know that row index is 1, so we have to add 2 with it, so we can enter the total present details in the B3 cell. So like that, in a generalized way we can represent this. Okay, so we can represent or to string. Okay, so now the value, what value you want to transfer? You know that you are transferring number of percent for of each employees. So you can specify percent, 8%. So you can specify the number of percent. Since it is an integer, you have to convert to string. So it is convert to dot to string activity. Okay, so I think yeah. So we have right for present section. Now similarly do this same for absent also. Absent, null values, percentage, etc. So this is for absent, right? For absent, you have to specify the data type, data sheet name. And you have to specify the cell value. We know that for employee E01, the total absentees has to be returned in C2. For E02, absentees is being returned in C3. For E0003, the absentees data is returned in E4, sorry C4, and for E004, the total absentees is returned in C5. Similarly, for E005, total absentees is returned for C6. So we have to represent in a generalized format. So similar to what we have done above in the case of present, we have to represent the generalized format as, since column name C remains same, only the row index is changing. So specify the row index plus 2 here. Okay. C. Yeah, that's correct. So I have to write absent dot to string. Similarly specify it for, let's say, null values. Specify it for null values also. Specify it for null values. Do the same data to have to specify the cell number in a generalized format. For null value, you know that for E01, the null value has to be entered in G2. For E002, null value has to be entered in G3. For E03, null value has to be entered in G4. For E004, null value has to be entered in G5. Or for E005, null value has to be entered in G6. So in generalized format, you can represent like this: G plus row index plus 2 string. Okay, so now you can specify the null values here. Null value dot to string. So next, what we have to specify? We have to specify the total working days. I can specify the total working days here. Specify the total working days here. Let's total working days. So specify the sheet name. Let's say data 2 and uh, just know where we have to write it. For E01 the working days has to be written in D2. For E02 working days has to be written in D3. Similarly for E03, E04 and E05 I have to write it in D4, D5, D6, etc. So we have to represent it in a generalized format here. So let's go to range, write as D plus row index plus 2 is plus 2 dot to string. Okay, now specify the working days. Since we know that working days is equal to count itself, that I tell you earlier. Okay, so working days. Now we have specified all these things. Now we have to specify only two data. One is percentage, next is feedback. So percentage already we have calculated. We can specify it like directly. Just specify the percentage, right? Think the variable is actually not being specified here. Let me check it here. Okay, yeah. So its scope has only been limited to calculate attendance sequence. We have to change it to process sequence so that we can obtain the value here. Let me just specify this percentage dot to string. Okay, we can use you can actually yeah, we have to specify the cell name. So specify the cell name as like for percentage. If you look here, for percentage its column name is E. So for E01 we should write the percentage at E2. For E002 the percentage should be write at E3. Like that should be continue for all employees at the column E. So just specify the column name here as E plus row index plus 2 dot to string. Okay, so now we have specified the percentage also. So next is we have to provide the feedback. So for providing the feedback I have put three conditions for it. But the challenges has been put as three conditions. One is if percentage is less than 70 you have to provide feedback as average. If a percentage is between 70 and 85 including this limit value, means including 70 and 85, you have to specify feedback as good. If percentage is greater than 85 you have to specify feedback as excellent. So you have to use nested if loop concept here mostly. For that just use if, and you have to specify what is the first condition. You can split up in two conditions, like you can split up like two conditions. I like if percentage is less than 70 and percentage greater than 70, and when percentage greater than 70 you can specify another if loop, if condition. I will tell you how it works. So first specify percentage less than 70. When percentage is less than 70 what condition you should provide? Right. You have to write in the feedback. You have to provide as average. So just specify it as average itself. Specify it as average. Feedback. You know that feedback. What is the column cell for E001? Feedback is written in F2. For E002, feedback is written in F3. In E003, feedback is written in F4. In for E004, feedback is written in E5, and so on. In general way, how you can specify it is in let's say F plus row index plus 2, index plus 2, not to string. Okay, you have to specify the value. What is the value you have to specify? You know that if it is less than 70 percentage, feedback is average. Specify it as average. Okay, so write average. Just give a name here. Writing feedback based on percentage. Now we have returned this condition means if percentage is less than 70. If it is true, we are writing the feedback as average. Else condition implies if percentage is greater than 70. Within that you can write another if condition. Okay. So this else condition implies that if percentage is greater than 70, there you can specify another if condition to check. That is like here it checks like this become true when percentage is less than 70 here. But when percentage is greater than 70, we can have two conditions like this. If percentage is greater than 85 or if percentage is between 70 and 85. You can specify that. That is why we are using a if condition here. You can specify like this. Percentage greater than 85. You can specify the right cell here at excellent. Because when percentage is greater than 85, it implies that excellent. You have to write feedback as excellent. So we can specify the data to specify the field as let's say excellent because you know that the condition is like this. Percentage is greater than 85, you have to specify feedback as excellent. So give the cell. So you know that it is F. So already we have discussed when we are writing average like this F plus row index plus 2 row to string. Okay, so we can give it a name. Let's say write excellent. So now you have to provide else condition. What does this else condition implies? Because if you look from the top, at the top when percentage is less than 70, if it is true, we are writing the feedback as average. In the else condition, we are else condition means if percentage is greater than 70. Within that, we are dividing into two conditions. That is, if percentage is greater than 85, we are writing it as excellent. If percentage is else implies if it is greater than 70 or greater than or equal to 70 and it is less than or equal to 80, 85. That is what else condition signifies. So what we have to write, because we know that we have written two conditions. If percentage is greater than 70, feedback is average. If percentage is greater than 85, it provide excellent. In else condition here, it implies that if percentage is greater than 70 or equal to 70 and percentage is less than or equal to 85. That is what we have to specify in the else condition. So what is that? It is actually equivalent to this. So what is the feedback that to be provided? Good. So I just provide the feedback as good. So just specify the column name. So F plus row index plus 2 auto string, and you have to specify the name. Let's say good. Feedback should be good. So provide a particular name for this like good. Okay. So if you provide if percentage is greater than 70, that is what we are providing here. Okay. So these are all written in Excel application scope itself. Okay. So I think we have completed the process workflow. So let's summarize what we have done in the process workflow. In process workflow, first from the get transaction item, we have or get transaction item, we have got each transaction item. So in the process workflow, what we have to do, we have to process this transaction item. Means processing here in our challenge implies we have to from the each transaction item, means each transaction item represent an employee details, employees attendance details. From that we have to calculate total number of present, total number of absent, total number of null values, and we have to input it into this data to sheet where corresponding to the employee's name. So that is what we have done in the process section. So that we have created two sequence: calculate attendance details and transferring data to Excel file. In calculate attendance details, we are calculating for each employee or each employee name. We are calculating the number of present, number of absent, total number of null value, percentage, etc. And in data to in the second sequence, that is transferring data to Excel file, we are inputting all the values that we have obtained, the like present, absent, total working days, percentage, feedback, null value columns. That is what we have done. So this is what we have done in the process section. So just save it. So after doing process section, next is we have to go to end process. So in end process there is close all application, killing, and also extra activity there is like kill process is there. So in close all application, it's an Excel automation, so there is no requirement for any applications to close here because we are not using any applications to be open in the init state, so there is no need of closing, no need of closing application sections, etc. So now we have can go to kill all process. So here we want to add kill process activity because it actually kills the process which is being used in this automation. So in this automation we are using Excel process, so we have to kill it. For that we can use kill process activity. You can write kill process Excel. So you can represent give the process name. If you don't know the process name, you can just go to task manager and you can find the process name there. Okay, because you want to kill the process Excel here, that is you are providing process name as Excel. Okay, so what is the use of this kill all process is that, for example, before going starting the initialization of application, the kill process ensures that all the applications that are to be used has been closed to make the automation to start in a very clean mode. And also it has another function that, for example, if your system or application undergoes system exception, it got hanged, so that close application cannot work at that time. At the same time, kill process will forcefully close the application. That is one of the advantage of kill process. Okay, so this is about the kill process activity. And so I think we have completed all the work sections. So just You can check if there is any error, everything before running the workflow. Mm, mm, just check whether the file name, everything is in Excel file, employee.lx, um, employee dot employee dot I think the name is, yeah, employee dot xlx is being provided here. Okay. Employee dot xlx, uh, excel file. Okay, you go to process transaction, you check. Mm, so yeah, everything is correct. So we have completed our workflow. So before running it, I just summarize what we have done. So in this, what we have to do here is that we have an employee's attendance sheet, and our main agenda is for each employee we have to calculate the present, absent, and null values, and then we have to input into this second sheet in the same Excel file for corresponding to each employee's name. So that is what we have to done. So in the get transaction data state, what we have done, we are actually like assigning the transaction item. Okay, so in the process and the process transaction, what we are doing in the process, that is in the process transaction, what we are going to do, we are taking each transaction item, we are processing it means we are calculating number of present, absent, etc., and then we are transferring it to the data to sheet corresponding to the employee's name. Okay, we are filling the data there. And in the kill all process, what we have done, in the kill all process, we are actually killing the process X. So this is what we have done here. And here the initialization and close all applications are not required because it is an Excel automation. So let's start our workflow. Before that, just close everything so that it works in a fine manner. Okay, just close the config file also and check. Yeah, it's also correct. Okay, so let's start our workflow. Hope it works successfully. Yeah, it's running successfully. Mm. Mm. Yeah, it's running. Yeah, it has completed, I think. You can check in the output panel. Yeah, transaction 1, transaction 2, transaction 4. Yeah, every transaction is being completely successful. So you can check whether it is successful or not by using this employees data XLS file. Yeah. Oh, I think we have forgotten to enter the Excel data here. I think so. Let me check. Mm, that is right percentage. We have provided the percentage not to string, and why it's not able to calculate. Let me check that. Mm, dot count. Person dot count is being uh, working day null values. Oh, sorry. I forgot to change the sheet name here. That's the reason we can't see the. Uh, sorry, because the reason was that here you can see that I can't find the percentage value here. The reason was that I didn't change the sheet name. So sheet name was defaultly set up here as sheet 1 itself. So I forgot to change that. Sorry for that. So just uh, for your simplicity, I just leave all. Let's clear this again. Enable editing. Okay. So just try to clear it again. No need to clear it out, but for showing again actually. Sorry for that. Okay. So just start to run a workflow. Now it will work fine. It takes very small time also because only five data sets. Yeah, it's working. Yeah, it's completed. And if you look to the output panel, yeah, everything is done successfully. Because I'm not ensuring you that when you are running your workflow first time, it may work successfully. There is some error actually. Through error itself, you can learn something. So you can see the percentage value here. You can see the big decimal values are the more. So you can round off to two decimal places, etc. by using, because we can see here that 100 45.454545 like that. It's a big decimal value now. So you can reduce the decimal values by using another code that I will show you next. You just close this. So in the percentage section itself, you can reduce that. Uh, just yeah, the percentage section, try to use another assign activity. In another assign activity, use percentage. Use activity called, just type it here, math dot round. Actually it rounds that percentage to, let's say we want to round it to, let's say, two decimal values. We can round to two decimal values itself. Okay. That is, you can give a name here, round of percentage to two decimal values, because it's a big decimal value. We don't require much big decimal value, because that is why I didn't use this earlier, because I want to show that what's big difference there. So let's start our workflow again. It's working. Hmm. So I think it took more time. Hmm. I think all the translation is successfully done. Hmm. Yeah, every translation is successfully done. You can check here. Every translation is successfully being done. Yeah, you can check here again, because there is no need for deleting the data, because it is writing the activity now. But when I was running this for first time, like when percentage value was not given, I delete that so that you can understand easily what is actually happening. Actually, you don't need to delete the data. Okay, yeah. Now you can see, like you can see total present for employee 01. He was actually present for totally 11 working days. So his percentage is 100. So he's excellent, and he has been not there is no null value in his attendance sheet. But if you look for E002, he was only present for 5 days and he was absent for 6 days, for total 11 working days, and his percentage is around 44.45.45. Not here, because in earlier you can see the value was 45.454545, etc. Now you round up this decimal percentage value to two decimal values. Since it is less than 70, it is an average. So, and also there is no null value. You can directly check from here itself in this sorry so you can directly check from here itself. Sorry, yeah, you can directly check from here itself. Actually, this sheet one actually came when I told you now, when we are writing the like when the Excel file, actually when we are like the when its percentage was first time when we are running that, we actually set the percentage sheet for that right cell for percentage. The sheet name was specified as sheet 1. Since in Excel application scope, if the sheet doesn't exist, it can automatically create that sheet. That is why that sheet 1 was created. Okay, so if you look for E03, so if you want to verify it, you can just look here for E001. It was actually present. You can see mark, he is marked present for all day, but for E02 he was marked for absent for some days. Similarly for E03 he was actually, there's a null value present in him. If you go to here, you can check out this. So you can see that from this what we can conclude that our workflow has been run very successfully. Okay, so you can see, also you can see that the percentage value has been rounded up to two decimal places. Okay, so actually uh, we have completed our, we have able to run our workflow successfully. So this is how you can do uh, this automation, that is attendance calculation automation using RA framework. I hope you have understand this workflow, and if you have any doubts regarding this, any code, etc., you can just comment in the comment box. I can reach out to that, and the challenge link I will put in the YouTube description along with the solution. So if you like this video, please subscribe. Thank you.